Welcome back to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. I'm Jason Bell from Hard Money Bankers, co-host Ian Horowitz from Equity Warehouse, taking that last bite of food right after lunch before we get this next interview going. Definitely looking forward to this one. Ian, we're going to introduce Dave here in a second. Ian's going to do a formal introduction because he's been friends with Dave for a while, but I can kind of tease everybody with that. Dave came originally had a high-level corporate job from a big, well-known company, and then turned that career into purchasing self-storage facilities, along with kind of growing that and creating a community and helping through his experience train other self-storage operators. So we'll talk about that here in a second. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We promise we'll keep this entertaining, educational as well. If you're a return viewer, follower, listener, watcher, viewer, thanks so much for all the support. As you know, we're always trying to bring on the biggest and best guests that are out there on the front lines doing real estate deals in a lot of different residential and commercial asset classes. So I'm looking forward to this interview here, Ian.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think this one should be coming out after the Super Bowl, and hopefully the Eagles have won and we are enjoying that. I know I said this on a episode before that, but I'm really excited. Actually, I got invited down by a mutual friend of me and Dave's, our buddy Stratton's like, why'd you come down? I was like, dude, I can't. It's my daughter's birthday, so I don't know how I'm going to pull that off. But enough about me. Guys, if you get any value out of this show, like Jason said, we are out there finding guys that are actually guys and girls that are actually doing deals that are real people just like you and us, you and me, everybody else. And they come on here, they take time out of their day to stop working and to come and share what they're doing on the show. So the best compliment we can give them is sharing the show. It's not about the likes and subscribes. That doesn't do anything for Jason and myself. It doesn't do anything for our companies, but sharing the show does help out our guests and it gets their name out there because they want to get out there and share their story with everybody because it's super impactful. So please do that. Now, our guest today, I am really excited for. Speaking of football, my man, I met him at an event that many of you are familiar with. We were all a part of the Storage Rebellion, and there was new guys coming in all the time. And this guy is like, I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'2". I'm pretty sure Dave's taller than me, but here comes in this guy, and I was like, oh, all right, this guy's got some size. What's up? And next thing we start talking, he's leading the charge in the bar. We're having a grand old time, just out there talking real business, real life things. But
yeah, I'm bringing Dave on the screen so he can hear. So now I know he can hear the story, but I want to see his facial expressions, and I think the audience wants to hear his facial expressions while you're talking about him.
These are all true.
Go ahead, Ian, and then we can introduce, and then he can introduce himself. But finish this story.
Yeah. So anyway, Dave, he's one of the boys, and he's out there, and he's talking shop, and he's like, oh, yeah, I only got one property. I have nothing to offer. But it's like, dude, you have so much to offer. You have such an amazing background, being a national sales director, running a whole national sales team. I'm spoiling a lot of the episodes, so I shouldn't do this. And the other bar stories, if Dave wants to share them, he's more than welcome to. But we were on a rooftop bar one time, and anyway, we'll let him share that. And we'll go from there. So, Dave, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Rooftop bar, Kid Rock, Nashville. Didn't have a bad time.
Yeah.
Hey, it's awesome to be here. Thank you, Jason and Ian, for the chance to jump on and talk shop a little bit. Dave DeMink's. I'm the owner and operator of 6'3 Storage, 8 storage facilities across the U.S. and growing very quickly. I come from 23 years of technology sales and sales leadership with several leading high growth software companies. Anybody wants to know the names, feel free to check out my LinkedIn profile. But had a kind of a change happen in August of 24 that set me in a new path in a more focused direction. And honestly, thank God that happened. And we can get into some of that detail.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to go down this story because I don't know that I know some of the big companies that you worked for, but let's even. I mean, I'll name drop him. If you go skip and look at his LinkedIn, we got Ring Central, we got Zoom, we got some high heavy hitter companies, and I guess I get jealous of it sometimes because I didn't really work in that space. It's like, oh man, Dave gets all these cool experiences, but let's even take it a step back further. I mean, you got to play football at a super high level, right? I'm just kind of interested from going from college playing football at a high level with guys that went to the league all the way getting into corporate America. What did that look like for you? Because I think a lot of people will resonate with your story.
Yeah, I'm super grateful for the chance to have had the opportunity to play college football, because it definitely changed the trajectory of my life. And I can go into that. Grew up in Southern California, and when I was a freshman in high school, my parents moved to Northern California to afford to live. I grew up very, very below means, government food stamps, government milk and cheese, kind of like lived in 6-7 different houses growing up. And we moved to Northern California because it was just a lower cost of living than Southern California. And I ended up started playing football my freshman year at a really small high school. I was a big kid. I played baseball. I was pretty athletic. But by the time I was a senior, I was, earning all these awards and breaking all these records and doing all of this stuff from a football perspective that I really didn't set out to chase. Then I fell in love with the game. And I was fortunate enough to earn a full scholarship to play football, Division I football at Sacramento State in California, just about an hour from where I actually grew up in those high school years. And, really excelled there, had a great time. All of my best friends in life still to this day are from there. We played together. As you mentioned, a couple of them went on to the NFL for a short stint, one for a very long stint, where he won some Super Bowls, and we had a lot of fun celebrating that. But it was the chance to play college football was really what took me to college. And then I ended up, meeting my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and ended up getting a college degree. First person in my family in 3 generations to actually, hang the sheepskin, on the wall. My degree's in criminal justice. It was like, I thought I was going to go down the path. And then I realized I didn't feel like I wanted to work in a jail and be surrounded in those types of environments. So I found business, I found the internet, and I found an inside sales job with a software company. And that was kind of where, everything started from that. But it all started in college. It all started with my, my hand in the dirt playing offensive line for Sac State.
Go ahead, Jay.
Can you recall in the past when you felt like you had legit work ethic? It started with being disciplined, obviously, as high school football player, or probably maybe even a college football player. But like, do you ever recall that moment in life when you're like, wow, like, not that I'm giving up everything to do this, but like I have what it takes to be successful, and maybe when you. The day that you actually maybe had confidence and believed in yourself. But like, I believe that if you're successful in one thing, you'll be successful in something else. Yeah. I think a lot of people can probably attest to that. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you were a killer here, you're going to be a killer here. It doesn't matter. You just have to, want to do that. Like, do you remember that? Like, when that happened, where it's like, oh wow, like I actually really have something. And some might call it a gift, some might not. But like, hey, I have what it takes, and I'm going to continue to work hard.
Yeah, I do actually. And it wasn't a decision that I made. It was a situation that I was in. And what I mean by that is, one of my best friends in high school, Dan, his parents were very like the polar opposite of my situation. Dad was a business owner, stay-at-home mom, 5 acres, beautiful house, pool. They went on vacations, but Dan was my best friend. And I spent a lot of time with him, a lot of time with his dad, a lot of time with his family. And I saw his work ethic, the father's work ethic, and I saw the outcome of that work. And I can remember it like it was clear as day. I don't know the date, but I remember the thought that hit my mind right then was, I am going to create a different branch in my family tree that looks like this. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what that's going to look like or how that's going to manifest. But when I was in high school, probably my junior year, I knew right then and there that my life was going to take this different turn for the family that I didn't have, obviously, in the future. And it's because I saw that there. And it wasn't that my situation was dire. I have great parents. I have a great sister. Like, they did what they could for their situation to provide for me and for my sister. And they were the biggest supporters in my sports career. They drove thousands of miles in the car because we couldn't afford a plane ticket to watch me play in Montana or Arizona or Texas. They literally would drive there from Grass Valley, California. It's like not small, short drives in crazy weather. But it was seeing that my best friend Dan's family and the things that they got to afford in life because father worked his ass off, that it clicked it like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And that then translated to the football field and the motivation. And I think that then all of a sudden, colleges start recruiting me. I end up at Sac State. I'm starting by the time I'm a sophomore. I started 36 games, and it was just that work ethic and that drive to do something bigger and greater. I thought for a long time I was going to be an NFL player. That's very hard to do, by the way. And then I just took that drive and that motivation, and literally that desire still drives me today to create that different family, the branch in the family tree of doing what I do. And I got into software sales. I was the number one person hitting the phones, highest metrics every single day, grinding, working, coming in early, staying late, doing all the stuff that it takes to actually be successful, at least what I thought back then, because I saw my friend Dan's father and the way that he worked, that work ethic there.
Yeah, it's a very powerful answer. And I think to help kind of connect it, like that bridge from football to corporate America, because you've kind of brought it up, like, hey, I left college and I went inside sales and I crushed it there. I took this discipline. But you mentioned that, like, you wanted to go play in the NFL. Like, we all have childhood dreams. I wanted to be a big city fireman. I got to live it. But then I left it. And I had this identity crisis.
Oh.
At the end of college football, making a change in your career, and it'll come back up later because I know your story. You had to make another change to where you are today. Like, how did you deal with that at an early, you're 21, right? And you're like, well, shit, like all my dreams are crushed. Now what? Was it a simple into corporate America because you're like, I don't care, I just want to win something? Or was it, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I can't believe I did this shit. Like, what a waste of time. Like, how did you deal with that, like getting into that next stage of your life?
Yeah, I never got to the place where I was lost. I certainly, every weekend for at least 2 full seasons, I had to be at the football games. I had to be on the sideline with the pass. I had to be in the locker room and feel the energy and smell the sweat. Like, I had to. It was just who I was for so long, and then all of a sudden you're not. And I contemplated going into coaching, and this is a way for me to, like, stay an athlete in my mind and be connected to this thing that was a really pivotal piece of my life. But at the same time, I was growing like this. This is like right in the beginning of the internet. Like, the internet's becoming a thing. You can search online, and there's yahoo.com, and there's all this stuff. And I started, like, finding this path into technology, which is interesting because I didn't study it. I just kind of understood it, and I got it, and I understood what the companies were doing. And I was always good at sales. Like, interesting enough, every summer during college, I did door-to-door sales, selling these auto care packages, and I absolutely crushed it because I was just wanted to make money. I was always wanting to, like, put money in my pocket. Again, back to some of this motivation, this different, sort of branch in the family tree. And when I got finally to the place where it's like, I need to go figure out my path here, I chased a couple technology companies, ended up getting a job inside of there. But then what I did, Ian, is I took that role and I made it my football field. I made it my game. I made it like what am I doing in the first quarter? What am I doing today to, like, win the, like, am I eating right? Am I training? Am I lifting weights? Am I running? Am I doing the sprints? What does that look like at a desk with a phone? And back then we had, like, notebooks, and we took, like, notes, and, like, it was very different than, like, the tech that we have now or that sellers have now. But I just took the way that I attacked being a Division I football player, playing offensive line in the Big Sky Conference against some pretty awesome teams. And what does that look like when I'm at a desk inside of a business? And it was just be number one and be a starter, right? And be at the top of the list.
Yeah, there's definitely a big correlation, and Jason alluded to it. If you're successful in one thing, you'll be successful in a lot of things. And it's, we used to joke around in the firehouse, like, oh man, all these guys out on the corner, they can hustle drugs. Like, they should just go do business, right? Like, it's almost a similar thing, right? Like, how do you translate your life experiences into going and work towards, like, a good, like, goal, And I think that's something that a lot of people lose sight of. And it's, I've told Jason a few times, like, I'm jealous that you kind of went to college. Like, I don't know if it would have served me, but, you built a network that I didn't get to build. Or, your corporate job of, like, man, you got to see, like, a lot of fun stuff. You earned while you learned, and now you get to apply it in your business. I think are some really cool experiences. And I think a lot of people out there have them, but they're like, oh, well, I work at whatever pharmaceutical company. I'm not going to invest. I can't own my own business. I'm just going to work here. It's really the want and willingness to be able to go out there and doing something bigger and better and changing the trajectory.
Yeah.
Well, and I think everybody tries to look behind the scenes of how other people have lived based on like what's in their own brain. It's like, oh, that'd have been cool if I did this. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
I'll did this. And it's all hard work, right? Like it's all different, and your path in someone else's shoes would be completely different. Yeah. That's just what it was. And I think the real good takeaway from a lot of that stuff is, a successful person will in essence create success no matter what path they go to, right? Like, hey, Ian, if you and Dave switch roles, like Dave would have been a successful firefighter and you would have been, successful, in as a sales manager, right? Like that's just what happens with it.
There's only one problem, real quick. There's only one problem. I'd have to wear a suit and tie. And I can't do that.
But you might have been able.
It's got to be a requirement. Yeah.
Today you can't do that, but you might have if that's what all your friends were doing and what and if it was intriguing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all. If that's all or if that's just like where you're interested in doing, right? Like you also would have had to, catch a football, and I don't know if you can do that either, Ian. So. It's the same thing. Let's switch gears a little bit into self-storage. So would you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
Oh, without a doubt. Yes.
Okay.
Always wanted to be, always afraid, and always in like comfortable positions to ever want to like take that leap. But yes, without a doubt.
Yeah. Because which is good. And I don't necessarily think that somebody who buys real estate or even owns a real estate business, like a lot of people don't consider themselves an entrepreneur, right? I'm just curious because, I've owned some businesses and I don't even know if I consider myself an entrepreneur, but like, I guess we all are on the definition. So when did you kind of realize like, I want to buy some real estate, and what attracted you to self-storage?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's got a good answer. So as my career progressed, I was able to, have decently high incomes pretty much every year from very early years, progressively getting better. I was fortunate enough. I started at Ring Central when they were about $15 million of ARR, and I was the only real salesperson there in the beginning. First phone, first Salesforce login, and a desk outside the VP of sales office trying to figure out like how we're going to go sell this stuff. And 6 years later, I've hired 700 people in the United States to sell, and we go through an IPO. So great financial event. I wish I would have held it till the pandemic, all that stock, because then it went up like 10 times. But nonetheless, it was a great event. Like now, all of a sudden, that branch in the family tree is created, and now it's like how big can I grow this thing, right? I had cash on the sideline, and I wanted to put it to work. And one of my sales managers, actually at Ring Central, who's a really good friend of mine today, his brother-in-law, this is what they do. They buy multifamily, they manage properties, multifamily specifically. And I invested in a deal as just a passive investor, started getting that mailbox money. And then I had another kind of cash injection, and I bought my first multifamily multifamily apartment building. We ended up buying and selling 4 of those over like maybe the course of 4 or 5 years. And one of the things that I set out at that point was to start creating like this mailbox money, this cash flow engine, so that at some point in the future, when my youngest daughter, I've got 3 teenagers, 18, 17, and 14, but my youngest, Ben, was like 8 years old, I'd like this 10-year plan. 10 years from now, when she goes off to college, my wife, Jen, and I are going to travel, part-time. We're going to live in different parts of the world and experience life off of like my real estate investments. The challenge was, and I found this out maybe like into year 2, 3, and I'm getting to the storage here, is that almost every year, like clockwork, something major would go wrong with one of these apartments that we had. Like somebody that lived there for 10 years or 12 years moved out, and all of a sudden there's a $14,000 like renovation that has to happen, or something would break or whatever. And this cash flow that I thought was going to be building just kept getting like punched in the gut. And I'm like, man, this is not necessarily going to work. I got to figure out a different plan here. And storage was something I had visited very early on in my interest in real estate, but didn't really understand how or what or where. I made the decision that I'm getting out of apartments. I'm going to go chase the self-storage. I got to figure out like where I'm going to go get the learning and the training. And I bought AJ Osborne's book, Self-Storage Income, 1.0 or whatever, read it cover to cover, understood a lot of the what, but not a lot of the how. And then that's where I found, mastermind groups and connections there, ended up working with a couple of people from a coaching perspective through that angle, understood the how part of the business. And then I found my first deal, and 5 months into that process, and within a year I had 2, within 2 years I had 4, and now I'm at 8, right around 200,000 square feet. But it was really the pivot out of multifamily because it wasn't hitting the financial goals that I needed in order to get to that bigger goal that I had, right? And this was all while working in corporate America. So this was definitely the side hustle that's now turned into the full-time hustle.
Yeah, no, I think everybody can resonate with, single family or residential properties or properties in general. Everyone thinks, oh, it's going to be passive. You use the word passive. It's my mailbox money. Bullshit. Nothing's mailbox money. Even if you're investing in stocks, like, you have the advantage of on some things, it's like, it's not really mailbox money. Like you got to work in the company, but then if I was the investor into Ring Central, it's like, well, I need to manage that stock portfolio. I need to manage looking at, is Ring Central actually going to produce the returns that they need to for me to earn? And too many people are like, yo, let me just give money to Jason or whoever and just be like, oh yeah, Jason's got me. It's like, no, dude, you need to manage your investments. And it's interesting that you had that. I think a lot of people find it in the residential space quicker than other spaces. I was having a conversation with a land seller the other day, and we were bullshitting back and forth. And he was talking to me. He's like, dude, I don't want to own properties anymore. He's like, I just want to develop them. I deal with my engineer, I deal with my lawyer, and I deal with my own money. And that's it. I don't want to deal with tenants.
And it's gone.
With the BS, What's that?
I think multifamily in general is a great asset class. There's a lot of people that own, a lot of people that do really well. The company and the one guy that I worked with on all of these deals, they have a fascinatingly large business, and it's all multifamily. That's all they do. But it just wasn't getting to the goals that I needed. Maybe I had bad luck. Maybe it was it was the way that, my multifamily experience went, but it wasn't one that was going to help me get to, the financial goals that I needed by the time my youngest. So I got 4 more years until she's off to college. But, the way that my business is now accelerating, I have an absolute clear path to making that happen.
Yeah, that was the clear takeaway from what you were talking about with me that I heard as well as, listen, any asset class can make you money. Any business can make you money. If you want it bad enough and you put things in place, there's dozens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of ways to do it inside the real estate itself. I mean, there's dozens of ways to do it in storage, right? Some folks are straight value add and they're trying to get huge hits down the road. I mean, I'm kind of like you as well, where I'm trying to accumulate passive income and passive cash flow to hit a certain number. And then there's the thing. And, I might bypass other opportunities that some people think are great opportunities for them because they have the infrastructure to do so. It might be a longer term play. So I think that's important, is understanding that the clear goal, and maybe even, and I don't know this for a fact, but maybe even that's where your goal came from working, as a sales manager and potentially making commissions, and you're used to that coming in. It's like, hey, I need to replace this money, and I don't necessarily care about big hits. It's like, hey, I want to replace this money, and then I want to turn all this active income to passive income, because all of us, it's reasonable to say that all of us know how to make money. But the challenging part is, cool, how can we make boatloads of passive money and turn these active hard work things into, forever passive income, no matter what? And that was something that I figured out early on when I went to a event. It happened to be, coincidentally, a multifamily event where this guy just kept pulling out checks, and he's like, I can't stop these checks from coming in if I wanted to. I don't even know who my tenants are anymore because I've gotten that big, and it's just endless money. So tell us a little bit about kind of your current venture and storage, Ace.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me rewind the tape a little bit, because how I got to that and where that kind of stemmed from was that in August of 2024, I'm the head of sales at a very large software company that probably everybody on this call listening to has used or is using pretty much every day. Head of sales for one of their sales divisions. And a month before, August of 2024, my wife and I returned from Hawaii, from their champion club, their president's club, if you will, which is the top 1% of sellers in the nation, or excuse me, worldwide, 9,000 people. The top 1% of sellers got to spend a week at the Four Seasons in Maui. Unbelievable, first class, A+ all the way, and the company's A+ in first class. But I end up on the wrong side of a spreadsheet or a decision, and I ultimately get laid off, even though I'm the number one team at the time in a tough environment. I just came back from this celebratory trip. I get the call. And what's crazy is the week before that, I'm the one working on the plan on who's getting the call. But unbeknownst to me, there's another spreadsheet that I'm not aware of that has my name on it. And so while that was like a gut punch to the ego, truth be told, I had this bigger vision and this bigger desire to go off on my own and build the storage business. Ian's been pushing me on this for a couple of years, along with some other folks. And I now have this watershed moment of like, okay, I'm just been handed the answer to the question I've been asking myself is, can I go do this? And so here I am now on, one part of my day and one part of my life is I'm, continuing to build this storage business. But then what happened is I started getting approached by folks in my network and folks that knew me and people that knew other people about mentoring and providing coaching for them who are in corporate America at their W-2, slaving, not really enjoying what they're doing, not having fun. And how do they start building a game plan behind the scenes so that they can, eject themselves out of corporate America as well? Or at least if corporate America made a decision to eject them, that they've got like a soft landing, which is exactly what, happened to me. Thank God, because I got into storage, 4 years ago, and I started building the cash flow that now, this is what I live on. Granted, the income is very different because I had the cash flow and the W-2. The W-2 is gone, but now guess what? The focus is on building the storage business. And through that interest of mentoring and coaching, I launched a community on the school platform, Hormozy's platform, School, SKOOL, and called Storage Ace. And this is where I help aspiring self-storage owners learn how to get started in the business, how they find deals, how do we value deals, how do we underwrite, how do we operate them once we own them, how do we negotiate a sale, essentially the A to Z of community. And then inside that community, which is totally free, I've got a small group of private paid clients that are in a group coaching where we're getting real down and dirty on everything self-storage with the goal of buying their first storage facility in 6 months. And so that was really born out of not being tied to corporate America. And when it's really interesting, like and I had a lot of people telling me this, but you also have like this comfort level that is there, even though you may not like it or you may not really want to be doing that. It's comfortable. Your bank account gets this ACH every couple of weeks. You got awesome benefits, all that stuff. Totally get it. But what happened was just this speed and this all these other opportunities that I didn't even really know existed started presenting themselves because I was no longer tied to that previous role. And so got a couple hundred people in the community now, 15 or so folks on the coaching side, and all of them are having success like pretty quickly. And it's, what's really cool about it is one of the things that I didn't like in corporate America in my, I'll call it my final days, because I've made the decision I'm never going back, is the most fun that I ever had was coaching the frontline sellers on how to be good salespeople, how to find those nuanced opportunities in those situations where they could become a better seller by asking this question, or did they hear that thing, or like whatever that is, the sales process, the psychology of sales. But the further I climbed the ladder, the further I got away from that. In fact, in my final days in corporate America, I could tell you that I got zero time on the corporate side and all the time dealing with bureaucracy and HR and headaches. That was like my day every day. But that's what I signed up for. That's what I got paid for. That's where my career took me. So now to be back in this position where I think of all my coaching folks as like my sales reps, but I'm coaching them on the front lines on how to find deals, how to value them, how to underwrite. I don't know if you guys can feel the passion or the energy coming through, but like I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. And that's Like I go upstairs at the end of the day, and my wife's like, "Did you just pound a bunch of espressos?" I'm like, "No, I'm just like my energy levels are they're high at the end of the day." So,
dude, I get that. I get that fulfillment as well. I know 100% where you're coming from, because as we grew, one of our mastermind groups, our hard money mastermind group, it was the same thing, because now I've got consulting clients and people in our mastermind group, and it's not just me pounding phones. It's me helping them do the same thing, and you get the same energy. And there was a point inside our company at Hard Money Bankers that I had, business development and salespeople, and then I wasn't on the front lines. And it wasn't that it was depressing, but it was different. My day-to-day was different. And like, listen, as a business owner and as you grow, you want to make sure you're involved in lots of different stuff. But like, I still needed to scratch that itch.
100%.
So I was like, I'm still running some of these deals because I enjoy it. And down to yesterday, when I had two of my offices from different markets in our office yesterday, and I was doing training, and they're like, critiquing them from they got off the phone, and I was like, "Hey, why don't you try this?" They're like, "Oh, fuck, you're right. That's brilliant. I should try it this way." And then like we all had passion. Like I'm literally roaming around the room. We got whiteboards. We're talking, like voices loud, and like I get it. I get that fulfillment, and you need this. You needed that next step of your life. I agree with you.
I really have
your school community.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and it's taken on a complete life of its own. Something I didn't even know I could even do or exist, and now here we are. But what's so fun about it is the teaching and the learning and having kind of those light bulb moments now with folks that are interested in getting into this storage business and this asset class that I'm having a lot of fun with. It's like going back to my very early days of being a sales manager and helping people find that path and take their careers into completely different trajectory.
Well, it also keeps you honest in your business, right? You can't go out there and teach someone and, not do it in your business, right? It makes you really think about your processes and your procedures if you're going to show somebody else how that's working for them, right? So,
no doubt. It's 100%, Ian. It's like, I'm living walking proof. Like I'm working on a deal right now, closing number 8, and it's going to be done in 2 weeks. And I'm walking here are the life and trials and tribulations of buying real estate. Like follow along, like it's through the hero's journey together. Come along with me and to be able to share that back and showcase that to folks that aren't there yet. Similar to the way that I got it from folks like yourself, Ian, many, many years ago, is highly rewarding. The other thing that's interesting is I've taken like the software sales approach, the only thing that I know, and I've brought that to my business. So the way that we operate is the way that our call center operates, the way that my ops manager / sales manager operates is very much through the lens of a sales team, a sales organization. The KPIs we look at, the way that we track stuff is so I'm still living in that software world. It just happens to be storage is our software as a service. It's storage as a service. So it's my own SaaS business, and I just manage it the way that I always did.
Yeah, there you are, just reframing it, making it a football field again, just dominating over and over and over again. Now, one thing I heard you say, and I'm going to challenge you for the fun of the audience, because I think they'll enjoy this conversation, is Jason, I sat in a room with Dave, and all these dudes, you know the makeup of the group, and a lot of guys that are just like, I'll do a deal and I'm going to go sail around the world and live on a sailboat and all this other type of stuff. And Dave, now listening to him, I want to get your answer, Jason. Dave sits there and tells me, just a couple storage facilities, just going to float around on the ocean and I'm going to enjoy my life. I mean, do you think a guy like that could do something like that?
No.
Dude, you're a fucking killer, man. Like, this is the best thing that ever happened to you.
You're going to be in the ocean and a big storm's going to come, and that way it's going to throw you right back to shore.
Then what? Then you pivot. Exactly.
Yeah, you know what? You'll do it for 2 weeks, and then you'll be like, this isn't for me.
Here's the reality is that you're 100% right, Ian, I'm a deal junkie. I always have been. I will never not be. Like I sold shit on eBay when I was in high school, or in college. I've always tried to find a way to make an extra couple bucks because I actually enjoy it. Like I'm not going to work and hating the end of the day, right? I'm coming in because I want to get shit done. I want to hustle. I want to do deals. I want to win. And I don't think I can ever imagine a day when I'm not trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it's you want the ability though to do what you want to do. That's really what it is. It's you're not, even if you're not going to act on that. You still want that ability. I mean, that's where it all comes down to.
The new vision is at least a couple times a year we could be on a catamaran for maybe a week in the British Virgin Islands, floating around to the different places and enjoying life, and then we get back and get shit done.
The real definition is not being able to do that forever. It's the real definition: do it whenever the fuck you want. Right? Exactly. It's time freedom. And too many people. And look, I got material things over here on my vision board. I got a plane and a sport fisher and a beach house. I can't do that shit every day. Like I've talked about this before. During COVID, I went to the beach for a whole month, and Jason's like, "You're gonna hate it." I was like, "Yeah, whatever, dude." Dude, by fucking week 2 or 3, I was done. And you guys hear how like I'm talking with Dave. You know, we spent a lot of time together, but it's like, dude, totally different world. I was like, I just need to work for 4 hours a day. Let me work for 4 hours a day, and I feel like I'm alive.
100%.
And people lose that vision, and they get locked into this. I want to sit on the beach every day. Nobody sits on the beach every day. How many NFL players left the NFL, left the league, and now they're doing like high level business, right?
Right. Exactly.
So
they need that competition. They need, that dopamine hit, whether it was on the field knocking somebody on their back, or you get the email from somebody that wants to sell you their storage facility they've been working on for a year, right? We need that. That's the keep the engine going for sure.
I heard this morning on sports radio, because we're recording this before the Super Bowl, but the guy from the Bears that used to always punch the ball out, Tillman, no, what was his name? Cornerback, anyway. They're talking about him. They're like, oh, he was the best, knockout fumble guy, this, that, and the other thing. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, he's an FBI agent now. And I was like, wait, that guy had like an amazing career, and now he's an FBI agent, but it's probably the same thing. He's so used to punching the ball out, like he's got to go punch the bad guys out.
Yeah.
Like you said, that dopamine hit to keep you going and make you feel like you're alive. So
yep. We've got a common connection, LP, who spent a lot of time in the NFL, and the guy's busier now than he's ever been. And he's got, amazing post NFL pension and all those things that, those folks get after being in the league for so long. But you're right. They're still looking for that next W. They need that win. They need the loss. They need the lesson, right? Like just how it all works. They need the game film.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, the clear takeaway is creating your business that you run it your way. It's not run. It doesn't run. It's running your way, and there's enough passive income that you have the confidence. I mean, here's the thing with passive income. It's not just I can have all this money and spend it. It gives you the confidence that you can go and fail, and you can go to that next venture and that next thing. And if that doesn't work, that's okay. I've got this, and I'll be confident again. I mean, imagine if everybody always had so much confidence that they could do whatever they want. They could, proactively be involved in any venture they wanted to be involved in. They could invest in this. They can do that, and you never have to worry about the financial element, because if it doesn't take off, it doesn't work.
Yep.
That's a huge thing, and I mean that's why some of these gigantic killers that have such big high net worths is. They can buy other companies. They can create this. They can invest in this. They can do that with just ease and confidence, because the money's not even an object at that point.
Right.
And it makes it a lot easier. So this is great. This has been great.
Yeah, no, I say we're going a little longer than we normally do, because it's really good conversation, huh? Oh, dude, you got the passion. You can see it in your eyes, and I really enjoy it. I think people in your community hopefully get to get your full personality and experience it and really understand you for who you are, and they will get a lot out of it. One thing we like to ask all of our guests is, like, what's one book or podcast that you think people should know about, or something that has really influenced you?
Great question. I'm going to actually have it sitting right here. Book that I just got done reading for the second time. It's called the Breakthrough Code. If you're on YouTube right there, or you've seen the video, Breakthrough Code by Tom McCarthy. It's not a business book. It's a story about that teaches Tom McCarthy's lessons about training your subconscious to drive you and to grab into what he calls the universal life code and create the life and style that you want by taking effective actions, by having a plan, and by getting after it. I think everyone will really enjoy it. It's a really good story.
Yeah, we'll get that in the show notes. That's a new one for me. I'll have to go and grab that one and check that one out. That sounds like a really good one. I enjoy that manifestation, that whole conversation around, your subconscious, because I do believe it. You know, you said you wanted to leave your job before your daughter was 18, and guess what? You got to leave 4 years early, even though it wasn't your choice. And I think it's probably the best thing that ever happened to you. Dave, where's the best place people can find you on the internet? They want to learn more about Storage Ace over on School. Where can they track you down and learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, if they go over to School, just type in Storage Ace, all one word. They'll find the community pretty easily. I'm Dave DeMink on Facebook, Instagram. And then if there's anybody out there that's like, literally, how do I get started in storage? If they just go to storageace.io, don't bust my chops for not the .com. It's $2,000. I don't want to pay for it yet. But storageace.io, I've got a cheat sheet there that they can download on how to find, 7 different ways to find creative off-market deals and get their story started. Jump into the community and you'll start learning right away.
Nice. I love that. Or the real way is fly Dave, myself, and Jason out to Nashville and meet us on Broadway, and we'll have a grand old time. We'll teach you all about storage and life and real estate business as a whole. That's the real mastermind there. But anyway,
real work gets done for sure.
Yeah. If not, go check out Storage Ace over on School or storageace.io. We'll get all that in the show notes so you guys can check out Dave, see what he's doing.
Awesome.
And again, guys, if you got any value out of this, because I always do when I talk to my friend Dave, please share the show. That's the best compliment we can give my man. And we will catch you guys on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.